Hi and welcome to the Creative Mindset of a Digital Entrepreneur 5-part series. And in today's piece, we are going to be talking about the art of thinking sideways. This is the Get Your Mind Right podcast, and this is part of the 5-part series that I'm doing. If episode 1, which was Creativity is Your Currency, taught us how to see creativity as your power, then this episode, which is episode 2, is going to teach you how to think like a creator, to stop solving problems in straight lines and start thinking sideways. These are the episodes that shows you how innovation actually happens, not through logic, but through imagination and bold perspective. So let's get into it. Like I said, welcome back to the Creative Mindset of Digital Entrepreneur 5-part series, and this is episode 2. I'm Adina, digital business mentor, founder and software developer, and I teach ambitious creators like yourself how to build a 10K a month and more and beyond digital product business by becoming the most creative version of yourself. In this episode, we're talking about something every entrepreneur needs if they want to stand out online: the art of thinking sideways. You want to stay tuned to this. It's going to be really cool. You know, if you want exponential growth, you can't think in straight lines. What does it mean to think sideways? Thinking sideways means breaking the pattern, breaking the mold, thinking outside the box. You know, most people approach problems head on. They see a wall and try to knock it down. But creative entrepreneurs don't do that. We find the door no one else noticed. Sideways thinkers don't ask, what should I do? They ask, what hasn't been done yet? This is a really crucial question. What hasn't been done yet? That's how new markets are born. That's how offers go viral. That's how entire digital empires begin. Not by doing more, but by thinking differently. It's what Steve Jobs meant when he said, the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. So ask yourself this question: what are you doing differently? What can you do differently? So if you're not doing it differently already, what can you do differently? Look at the problems that you have right now, and what can you do differently to solve those problems? What steps can you take that maybe some other entrepreneurs haven't taken in order to solve that problem? What can you do that could help to solve the problem, but in a more creative way? So just ask yourself these questions. You should be asking yourself these questions on a daily basis. Even if you are thinking linear, start to ask yourself how you can think sideways, how you can sidestep, how you can go left instead of going right. This is why logic kills creativity. Logic has its place, but logic also has limits. When you rely on logic alone, you're confined by what's already known. Creativity lives beyond that. Every time you have an idea that feels too weird, that's your creativity trying to expand you. You know, most digital entrepreneurs shut that voice down too quickly. They tell themselves, that's not how everyone else does it. That won't fit the niche. That's not what's trending. But the moment you start filtering your ideas through what's trending, you stop being a trendsetter. Logic builds systems, creativity builds movements. You know, I had this idea the other day about doing something called an audio log. So instead of it being a vlog, it's an audio log. And so I'm doing what I do on a daily basis and I'm documenting it. But instead of documenting it via visuals, I'm documenting it audio. Because some people prefer to listen and some people don't really want to keep watching something. They just want to hear. You know, a lot of the time people actually watch vlogs, but they put the vlog on as a background noise. And so they're not actually watching the vlog, they're actually listening to the vlog. So some people, they put their videos, YouTube videos on the TV and they just listen to it as they're doing stuff around the house, but they're not actually watching it. And so someone who does that might appreciate an audio log over a video log, which is a vlog. And so they might appreciate an A-log, which is something that I thought about the other day. And I was wondering if I came up with that myself or if this was something that people are already doing. I couldn't find anything like it. But then I started to think about radio back in the day. Like in the war times, you know, in the 1940s and stuff, where they would listen to radio for their entertainment and they might have sort of, you know, stories that they're telling, and these stories are being told via radio as opposed to being told, you know, through visuals. So I thought about that the other day, and I thought that might be a really interesting way to promote my digital products instead of just doing video all the time. This is my own sideways moment. When I created my Tsunami content challenge, it didn't come from strategy, it came from a sideways thought. I remember thinking, what if instead of obsessing over one perfect piece of content, I unleashed 30 offers in 30 days? And what if the wave of momentum was the marketing? It didn't sound logical. It didn't sound, and also sounded a bit too intense, but maybe even too much. But that's what made it work. It was different enough to make people feel something. So the Tsunami content challenge that I'm releasing at the moment is something that came out as a result of another Tsunami content challenge that I did, which was a 30-day blast out of offers. Every day I was offering something to my audience. I was putting out a new offer every day, and I actually called that the Tsunami content product. Sorry, the Tsunami products digital product challenge. And out of the Tsunami Digital Product Challenge came the Tsunami Content Challenge, which is what I'm currently offering to anyone who wants to start building a digital product business, but they're sort of struggling with putting the content out there and the momentum, and it's going to help you with that creative momentum. You know, the power of sideways thinking, it catches attention because it catches people off guard. It interrupts the pattern, and that's what every market needs. It needs disruption. You know, some people might say the best thing is to just have one offer, put it out there and all of that. That's a great way of doing things and it works. But what if you shook that up? You know, content creators that do 30-day video challenges where they pump out content for 30 days, they're shaking things up because a lot of people actually don't have the tenacity to do that. A lot of people don't have the guts to do it either because they think they're going to be putting too much out there and people are going to get fed up too quickly. Okay, so just think what you can do. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go into hustle mode for the rest of your life as a creator, but you can do something that is so out of the box and so crazy to most people that it's going to catch attention. You know, I want to talk about how to train your brain to think sideways. Here's how you can start thinking more creatively. It's not complicated, but it does require awareness. So step 1, when you get an idea, resist the urge to judge it. Write it down before logic kills it. Then step 2 is connect unrelated dots. So ask what happens if I mix this idea from one industry with another. This is really cool actually. There was a time when I was doing a lot of digital art, and you know, I wouldn't call myself an artist per se, but I was doing a lot of digital art. I was doing a lot of mixed media art, and I thought about building a digital product business, but using this art work that I was producing. So instead of just like creating normal digital product covers, you know, like with the canvas and all of that, I was going to use my digital art as like the background of these books, e-guides, and I was going to sort of reduce the opacity of the art so that you could just about see it peeking through, and then do all the words and stuff over the top. And I did this for a while, and I did a whole 30-day ebook e-guide series where all of the front covers were my limited edition digital art that I had at the back. And so these ebooks, the way I did it, I was doing it in such a way where I was only offering 30 ebooks. And so each ebook, there was only 30 of them, and when the 30 ebooks were done, I had to just take them down. You know, it was a risk because once I've created those, what do I do with them when they're done? And I was thinking about that as well, like what do I do with these books when they're done? And so what I decided to do was break each e-guide down into articles and post them with the original cover as the image that I was going to put at the top of the article. And you know, it did really well on Medium, on one of my other pages, which is my creative page, and I thought about doing it again recently. Anyway, so, and step 3 is, you know, if you get bored on purpose, innovation doesn't happen in noise, it happens in stillness. So you don't always have to be doing something and always watching something or reading something or doing something, you know. You can just sit there in complete silence. You know, it doesn't even have to be meditation, as in you're sitting there intentionally meditating. It's just sitting there in complete silence. Creativity thrives when your brain finally has space to wander. You know, going for a walk, not taking your phone with you when you go for a walk. Sitting on a bench and staring into space. You know, your greatest ideas can come when you do those things. And step 4 is challenge the obvious. Whenever you feel stuck, ask what's the opposite of what everyone else is doing. 9 times out of 10, the opposite is where the magic lives. Most recently, I started posting on TikTok as part of my 500 post challenge. And I was doing a lot of I'm doing a lot of the things that everyone says that you should do, post a 7-second video with some words over the top with some trending sound and all of that. And I'm seeing some results from that. But what I'm not seeing is, from doing that, is I'm not seeing people following me based on the fact that they want to learn something. Because I'm using the same captions that everyone else is using. Oh, this is a sign from the universe and blah, blah, blah. I'm getting the views, but I'm not really getting the engagement that I need because I'm just posting the same thing. So what I decided to do today was I decided to take quotes from my articles and put those in the videos instead of putting some trending caption that everyone else puts. And I'm seeing some results from that because what I'm putting in the videos is they're quotes from articles that I've written about specific topics that are helpful and valuable. And so when people read that, they're going to be like, okay, so this person is someone who teaches creators how to build digital product businesses and how to build their mindsets to build a valuable, profitable digital product business. And so it's not just random. And so a lot of random people following me just based on the fact that I'm creating trending content. The identity of a sideways thinker. This is something that is important. To think sideways is to stop identifying as a follower and start identifying as a creator. Start identifying as a leader. Creators aren't just people who make things. They're people who reimagine what's possible. You'll know you're shifting when your ideas start making people pause. When you start getting told, that's bold or that's different. That's not a red flag. That's a green light. I get a lot of angry comments on some of my vocal media articles because I use vocal media as a soundboard. I don't really niche down on vocal media. I don't create niche content on there. I don't create content about a specific topic. I write whatever I want to write on there. I wrote something the other day that really pissed people off. And they were like, why would you post something like this? And I said, I posted it because I feel like it and this is my space. You see, and the reason why I decided to post that was because I wanted to get a rise out of people for a reason, because I wanted to release something specific, and it worked. Anyway, remember, the world doesn't reward the predictable, it rewards the courageous. Your next creative breakthrough is probably hiding in an idea that doesn't make complete sense yet. Let me say that again. Your next creative breakthrough is probably hiding in an idea that doesn't make complete sense yet. So let it breathe. Explore it. Let it breathe. Let your idea breathe. Give it oxygen. Allow it to breathe. Explore it. Play with it. It doesn't have to be released straight away. I am someone who I do move with speed. When I have an idea, I normally put it out there quite quickly. I want to just experiment with it. I want to see what people say, see what people think. But sometimes you need to let ideas breathe, and I've come to really accept this. When I started building 1 Million Black-owned brand, which was an initiative that I built to help Black creatives, to empower them, to empower Black-owned businesses and brands, and also to provide support for vulnerable women in Ghana. I put the idea out there, and I have a lot of different things on the shop. But it wasn't really taking off, and it hasn't really taken off. And so I decided to leave it to breathe for some time, because I know that something is going to come out of it. And I know that I might even create a spin-off of that particular idea, because it's such a powerful idea, but the world might not be ready for it yet. And so I decided to leave it to breathe. And I'm coming up with new ideas recently as I'm sort of walking around, going on walks and all that kind of stuff. I'm having more ideas come up and bubble onto the surface because I've just left it to breathe. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. In the next episode, we are going to talk about the identity of a creator and how to stop being a content maker and start thinking like the visionary your business actually needs. And if you're ready to start creating from your next level identity right now, I want you to click the link in the description for my Tsunami content challenge. Join the challenge. It's 30 days of unleashing your creativity, building momentum, and becoming the person whose ideas create waves. I really hope you enjoyed that. I've also got a link for my 90-day accelerator program, which is for people that really want to take things to the next level and start earning 10K a month from their digital product business. You can click the link in the description for that. I'm also going to leave my email address in the description as well. If you want to send me an email and you want to ask any questions relating to anything you've heard in this audio or anything that you have seen in the description that you feel like you need clarity for, you can leave me an email, and I'm always going to reply, because I always like to connect with people that are creative thinkers as well. Thank you so much, and take care.